Hi, I'm Robin Birkin, an ex-corporate marketer turned online business owner. I took everything I knew and created a six-figure life coaching business in the margins between nap times and a 9 to 5, and I'm here to share with you how you can do the same. Tune in as I share the raw and unfiltered truths, big lessons, and practical tips to help you build and grow a sustainable bread-winning business online that is both peaceful and profitable. Here, we dive deep into all things online courses, funnels, audience growth, and so much more. If that sounds like the things you want to learn, then welcome to Signature Online Course Secrets. Let's go.
I was going to record a completely different episode on the podcast today. However, I feel it is really pertinent to speak to the rapidly shifting environment of social media, content consumption, and more. So we are talking today all about the chaos that has happened on social media and some of the epiphanies, lessons that I've had over the many years of growing my business. And I grew my last business to more than 1 million podcast downloads. It was in the top 1% of global podcasts. Grew an Instagram following that would grow by about 500 people organically each and every month. A huge Pinterest monthly reach, organic rankings on Google, all of the things. If there is one thing that I know about business and marketing, one of the things that I really am good at is top of funnel marketing and how to grow your business and your email list through awareness and through marketing. Because let's be very transparent and honest and real. If nobody knows you exist, how can they even work with you? So we need to pay so much attention to the attention that we command online. So it's been the most interesting week, and I am sure you are across most of it. But here's what we've had in recent times. So let's look at Meta. Mark Zuckerberg released a video stating that they were releasing some of the reins on content policing. But at the same time, are stopping the conversion events from many websites, such as health and wellness websites. So what they've said is a lot of their fact checking, sometimes we got it wrong and hurrah for free speech. So we're going to cut down all of our fact checking and a lot more posts are going to get through the keeper. Whereas at the same time, if you are a health and wellness business, whether you're a supplements company, whether you're a fertility coach, whether you have an app for mental wellness, they've released this really quietly. So not many people know much about it or exactly what it means, but they've informed accounts that they have deemed to be within the health and wellness category that they will stop logging many of their data sources. So what I take this to mean is that they're going to stop leads and purchase conversion events, but still allow that top of funnel awareness marketing. Then if we have a look at TikTok, it was banned, then it wasn't, then there's some syncing going on with Meta, then you can now magically add ManyChat integrations. And if we look at long form content, you will see that Substack seems to be cheerleading a revival of blogging, essentially. I am still so firmly in the camp of blogging on your own website and really checking the conditions associated with Substack subscribers, etc. However, there has been a lot happening in social media. All of our Instagram feeds have changed, and there are more changes earmarked for Instagram. The highlights feed is going to move just into the tabs, kind of like where guides was before, which means that your pinned posts and your bio needs to be so much more on point. They've also indicated, from what I can see, that you might be able to move around posts on your feed so that you can really curate a polished experience and take people on the journey that you want to take them on in terms of the posts, etc. that you have. It's a rapidly shifting and changing environment. If you were in business last year, you may have felt like your entire business was rapidly shifting. One of the other things that I have seen is a lot of people who sell pure online courses. So I don't mean time leveraged programs. I mean these real you've created it once and then put it out there for passive income type online courses. The people who sell online courses about how to create online courses, I've seen a lot of them retiring their programs or still offering them, but not actively promoting them. Which, if you look at my trends report, it makes perfect sense. So if you want to get a copy of my online trends report, it's 24 pages and it's not necessarily just my preferences. Sure, some of my preferences are baked into that, as they always would be, but it's actually a lot of what I have seen across the market, what I have seen to be true from my clients, from my network, from my behind the scenes communities that I am a part of, and, like what's been working and what hasn't been working for our clients. So if you want to know what the 2025 landscape is like, and particularly from a consumer psychology standpoint, come and find me on Instagram at Robin Birkin and comment trends on any of my posts or reach out to me in the DMs, and I will so gladly send you that report, because it is so important and pivotal, because it speaks to what consumers are doing, thinking, and what they need from the programs, the services, the content that they consume online. So it's a free report, 24 pages. I'll send it to you. But we have to look at now at our marketing strategies and what this all means for us. What you're going to see is a lot of people speak to, like, this is why you need to build an email list. And yes, your email list could, I suppose, in some ways disappear tomorrow. But yes, it is also still the number one platform for not just sales, but communicating and getting the attention of your audience. I also have in another free report, and I do not do things by halves. I have another report on exactly what we did in one of our launches to, in a really laid back way, get 1,500 subscribers across 21 days for one of our launches. Completely doable results. I go into depth about exactly where everyone came from, what the conversion rate of our landing page was, what the layout of that landing page was. You get that all in this lead magnet. So again, come and touch base with me on Instagram if you'd like a copy of that. But growing your email list is still one of the most important things you can do. But it also really, all of it really highlights the importance of diversifying where you communicate with your audience. So what I thought I would do in this episode is really speak to exactly what I'm doing in our business to diversify and grow our audience. So let's start with right at the start of last year. So I shut down my life coaching business. This is where I had like 23,000 followers on Instagram, skyrocketing Pinterest, all of this Google organic search, and I just let it all go. I decided to still keep my Instagram handle, but what that meant was that the majority of my followers are and were unaligned to my current message. And I wanted that because I wanted my past posts, and I was willing to sacrifice that rather than start a new account, which, to be fair, are probably just as hard as one another. I don't think I've had any head start. And in fact, there's potential that my audience would have grown more if I had started a new account from scratch. Again, I didn't want to do that. I wanted all of my archives. I wanted to see what was there. I wanted the community of some people that I still had, and I wanted my handle of my name. So we've kept that. It has been an uphill battle because the way that the algorithm works on Instagram is it prioritizes likes and shares, depending on whether that's followers or it's putting it out to new people. If it's followers, I think it actually prioritizes likes. If it is people who are unknown to you and new, it prioritizes shares. So what's going to happen is when you put out a post on Instagram, it will send it out to like a test audience of each. Send it out to a little bit of your followers, see what they do. Send it out to some of your non-followers, see what they do. And then that's how it'll decide what to do next. So it pushes it out a little bit, has a little bit of a sit back. Is this good content? Is this going nowhere? Is this getting no traction at all? If it's getting no traction, it's just going to kill it. If people aren't liking, commenting, sharing, saving your post, ain't going nowhere. They're just going to shut it right down there. This is not good content for our platform. We want to keep people on the platform, so therefore, if it gets a lot of shares, then it might deem that this is really good content to share to non-followers and then put it out to a lot of people who are non-followers. If it gets lots of likes, it's going to put it out to more of your followers and potentially more non-followers. And it'll kind of inch up, and then test the waters and see how it goes with your post. If I'm putting out a post about 63 ways to increase the landing page conversions on a sales page, but my audience previously was all about how to navigate anxiety and hardship as someone going through infertility, like there's no reason why any of them would ever like or share a post. And I'm so happy to live with that. But it's meant that Instagram has not been a particularly big growth channel for me this year, or not one that I could rely on. We then had the podcast, which kind of didn't take off in the way that I thought it would. And towards the end of last year, decided that it was a priority for us and started making some really big changes in the way that we deliver our episodes and the way that we title our episodes, as well as generally title the podcast, which resulted in tripling our impressions for the podcast. And we are still growing our audience from there. In 2025, it's going to be a massive priority for us because podcasts are one of the best channels to leverage your authority and thought leadership. But it wasn't the same as the podcast that I had before. And a lot of that is because a lot of what I share is more conversion type content rather than growth content. So anyway, then we had Facebook ads. We killed it with Facebook ads all of last year, except when we were in one of our launches, this was right towards the end of the year, my VA's account seemed to have been hacked. And therefore what happened was her whole account got shut down. And then everything that she was an admin for in my business was suspended for 30 days. So my Facebook groups, and I couldn't post in other people's Facebook groups, my Facebook page, and therefore because the Facebook page had been suspended, my ads weren't running either. Cue a giant aha moment that because Instagram wasn't working, because the podcast wasn't working, actually we had all of our eggs in one basket. So if you were big on TikTok, maybe you've just had that big aha moment that, oh, hang on a second, like I don't know if I like where this is going for my business. So as always, we want to grow our email list. And what we want to do is use something called the spiderweb strategy. So we get people from wherever they are, and then as our primary objective, we want to get them onto our email list. Once we get them onto our email list, that's when the goal is to spread them everywhere else. And once you have the people who follow you and want to hear from you in multiple different places, so think about your objective being to get people to follow you in, let's say, 5 different places, then when it comes time to launch, if a social media platform goes down, if something happens, you've then got people following you in like 4 different places. So we want them to be caught in our web of attention, essentially. So I had this aha moment that, oh, hang on a second. We seem to have all of our eggs in one basket. And so particularly with audience growth, that's not something that I want. I want to have growth channels across different mediums. So here's what we sort of have done and what we will be doing into 2025 to make sure that we diversify our audience growth and actually grow. So starting with the podcast, as I've already said, we really looked at search engine optimization or discoverability for the podcast. So one of the ways that we've done that is by really being strategic with the keywords that we are using and also leveraging ads to promote our podcast episodes. Coming into 2025, we'll be ramping up the ads that we use for the podcast, and I'm going to be far more consistent in promoting the podcast to Instagram and far more consistent in promoting it to our email list. We've also got a few other little things behind the scenes, like ways that we will increase our podcast listenership to our email subscribers. But growing the podcast, not only in terms of the additional people that we have already in our audience, but also in securing new listeners through discoverability is massive for us. So that is one of my biggest goals for 2025. And by the end of 2025, the goal is to have 5,000 downloads per month. It's not even close to, like what my other podcast would get, but the goal that I've got for this year. So I want by the end of this year, 5,000 podcast downloads per month or listens per month to the podcast. And that's what we're doing, is discoverability through keywords, etc., ads, and also ensuring consistency in posting it to our Instagram and our email list. So then the other thing that I looked at was, I used to very peacefully, without any extra work, get about 400 email subscribers organically to my list through, long form content on the website. So we would put our podcast episodes up on the website on WordPress as a blog article. And strategically, I had written several articles that I knew and wanted to rank. I'd researched them, I'd researched the keywords, and they ranked on Google. And then they were leveraged in order to increase our email subscribers. And then we leverage that through Pinterest. And we haven't really done that with this business. And I realized how active I need to be in getting email subscribers onto the list. It's either, like pitching it via Instagram, for example, or it's running ads. And I didn't want to have to rely on either of those. Can you imagine not only how much money you would save, but just how peaceful it is to know that you have that without having to do anything to get it. And we're all about peace and profit in these parts. So one of the things that I did late last year was invest in an SEO blog copywriter. Could you get ChatGPT to write your blog articles? I guess, but I want a real human being writing these. I want them to be so detailed to my voice. And I really value human contribution. So do we leverage AI in my business every freaking day? But did I want a real human being to write articles, produce research for us in order to rank on Google, so that with the goal being that by the end of 2025, we will have 500 subscribers per month organically through Pinterest, Google search, etc., coming onto our email list because of this being strategic in that way, and then experiencing the peace that comes with that. The next thing is Instagram. So I've done a lot of research. I've done so much research on Instagram. If you look at my Instagram feed, you will see that it was really a year of experimentation. Well, looking at many of the other accounts there, I am going back basically to the exact strategy that I used with my past Instagram. A lot more single posts, a lot more shorter captions, not placing so much emphasis on really detailed carousels or Instagram reels, and batching and consistency. If you listen to last week's episode, I spoke a little bit more about the batched bootcamp that we have coming up in February. It's going to be epic. We were talking about it on the mastermind call this week, and everyone in the mastermind is also coming to the batch bootcamp. They cannot freaking wait. And they were like, this is going to be so valuable, not even for like the AI prompts or the design tips or the lessons on how to really speak to your Cloud9 client or the organizational tips. What they love about this is that together we're just going to have that accountability and get it done. So we're all so excited about the Batched Bootcamp. I'm excited about the Batched Bootcamp because I'm not aiming for every single post to be like fabulous case study, whatever. No, I'm just aiming for consistency on social media, and I'm 100% going for a quantity strategy. So the goal is to batch 3 months at a time on Instagram. Sure, it will be supplemented by a few reels and this and that. I will be on stories every day, but the level of peace that will come from having all of my content off my mental load is going to be like, honestly, chef's kiss. And I can't wait because I've also done the research. And can you just put up any shit? No. Can you just put up any quotes? No. But on these bigger accounts that are still getting incredible engagement and traction, there is simple post format types that I can see are the ones that are still working the best. And we've all been hoodwinked by the Instagram Reels coaches that we have to have this like perfect B-roll reel content with these long things and everything has to have 3 calls to action, whatever, trending audio. And actually, that's just not true. And what it's causing, what I've seen from my clients, from the word on the street, is that it's actually causing more paralysis than results for people in their business. So if you're nodding your head like, yes, you need to reach out to me and join us for Batched Bootcamp, it is going to be such a peaceful giving strategy. Like, honestly, we all just can't wait for it. So that's what Instagram is going to look like. Still consistent, still showing up every day. We are going to pump out way more content, but it's going to be far more batched and simple type content. It's also going to be, just from personal preference, positive content. I'm kind of done with negative hooks, and like I'm kind of done with threads as well. And like the roasts and hot takes, we're in like a positive lift up other people vibe in these parts. It's what I need in 2025. I hope it's what you need as well, because that's what you're going to see from me, is a lot more cheerleading and a lot less like what you're doing wrong. We may still have, a few hard truths every now and then in podcast episodes and emails, but certainly the Instagram account is going to be a place of a lot more cheerleading. So then we look at Facebook ads. Look, they're still my number one driver of email leads and conversions. My business had its best ever sales year last year, and I directly attribute that to being ninja at running ads. It's interesting because we've just had the newest cohort of the mastermind start. We were on a hot seat call the other day, and when people join the mastermind, there's this real like terror or nerves around starting Facebook ads. But the people who've been in the mastermind for 6 months plus, we got on another hot seat call and they were like, oh my God, they're the best. Like it just happens on autopilot 24/7. I've just got these leads flooding into my inbox, and they can see that clear growth trajectory and additional sales that are coming from ads. So interesting, like mindset shift that occurs. And that is absolutely how I feel with running meta ads. So we're definitely still running meta ads, and actually the goal is to consistently run ads year round and with a pretty hefty budget. So that's sort of what we're doing. Will we invest in other audience growth channels and other mediums and other paid advertising? I'd say likely yes. I'm not planning many big launches for the mastermind in 2025. We're kind of going to be nearing our capacity in 2025, so it will land on a waitlist strategy, or like a waitlist promo for the rest of the year. So I'm feeling so settled in everything that we're doing, and it's going to give me the time to really prioritize authority building, thought leadership, and growth organically outside of just like one channel. And Pinterest, it will also support our long form content growth. But that's where we're at. If you feel nervous about what's happening with social media, even what's happening generally with the world, here's what I would say. I've been in marketing for something like 25 years now, and things change rapidly and all the time. What I would say is have less focus on getting everything perfect and pay more attention to experimentation and trying things that work or that feel good or that feel doable for you in producing content. Content, I think, is still king. Google has the 7-11-4 principle, according to some research it did a few years ago, and never more than now do I believe that it's relevant. We need people to be able to consume lots of content from us across lots of different platforms. So if you feel like you've got all of your eggs in one basket, hop onto somewhere else where your audience is hanging out and experiment and play and just be consistent. Give it a shot consistently for 90 days and see what happens. What is the best that could happen? Anyway, I hope you have the best day. I cannot wait to see you next week. Bye for now.
Another episode on the books. If you'd like to continue the conversation and get more super savable tips, come and find me on Instagram @RobinBirkin. Otherwise, make sure you're subscribed, and I can't wait to see you next week.